Gentlemen, I ask for your silence, please. Ms. Joyce Suya, Acting Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme. Karibu to magical Kenya. I sincerely thank the Eastern European Group for nominating me and for the trust and support throughout my presidency. I would like to express my condolences to those who have lost loved ones in the crash. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the fourth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. We are in the middle of a historic stage in the life of the United Nations Environment Programme. Over the past 47 years, this organization has brought opportunities to build on the strong commitments and dedication of our collective efforts. In 2022, we will be celebrating 50 years of UNEP and 30 years of Rio Conference. I would like to pay tribute to the Secretariat of the organization, both past and present, for their tireless efforts in assisting member states at a critical time for action to protect and reverse the degradation of our planet. My most sincere appreciation goes to Ms. Joyce Suya, the Acting Executive Director, for her leadership, commitment, and resolve to strengthen this organization, to look to the future with pride, and for setting the basis to build a bright future for the environmental pillar of sustainable development. I would also like to welcome Ms. Inger Andersen, Director General of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, who has been appointed as the next Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme. Ms. Andersen, as President of the Environment Assembly, and on behalf of Member States, I look very much forward to working with you to ensure that this organization goes from strength to strength in order to become more agile, effective, and robust organization that is able to quickly respond to the most pressing environmental challenges seen in generations. Distinguished delegates, at this assembly, we are focusing on how to consume and produce sustainably and innovative solutions to address environmental challenges. Even more than anywhere, results in global environmental policy can only be achieved in collaboration. Evidence shows that we need to strengthen our efforts collectively and urgently. We meet at a time when major scientific assessments, such as the Global Environment Outlook, GEO6, to be endorsed at this assembly, are highlighting that we have reached a crucial tipping point. A major species extinction compromising planetary integrity and Earth's capacity to meet human needs is unfolding, and megatrends are being established. Our planet is increasingly polluted, affected by the adverse effects of climate change, quickly losing its biodiversity and experiencing widespread environmental degradation. Indeed, the last 4 years have been the warmest years on record. We have all become too familiar within our countries with news about flash floods, droughts, violent hurricanes, sand and dust storms, all of them accompanied by tragic loss of human lives. Unless we take action now, we will not be able to reverse these megatrends, thereby protecting human and environmental health and maintaining current and future integrity of global ecosystems. Consequently, many of the Sustainable Development Goals will not be met. Dear colleagues, as President of the United Nations Environment Assembly, my vision is to scale up the efforts to overcome common environmental, including health-related challenges, in a balanced and integrated manner, through identifying and developing innovative solutions. In the light of these challenges, there is an urgent need to take action on sustainable and efficient resource management, international environmental data and engagement of civil society, citizens, private sector and academia. 2 billion people worldwide lack access to solid waste collection services. 64 million people are directly affected by uncontrolled dumping and open burning at dump sites. 8 million tons of plastics enter the ocean every year. In the draft ministerial declaration, I am asking the member states to define ambitious national targets for reducing waste generation, increasing the reuse of products and recycling of waste, and to significantly reduce single-use plastic products by 2030. The world needs openly accessible data, information, analysis, knowledge and science to better inform and guide what needs to be done to achieve sustainability across all environmental dimensions. With the ministerial declaration, I am asking UNEP to develop a global environmental data strategy by 2025, and the member states to improve national environmental monitoring systems and technologies. Not only is data filling knowledge gaps, data can also be a source of economic benefits which cannot be left unnoticed. Finally, our efforts must benefit people. An outcome from this assembly must speak to each and every country and inspire citizens to become more aware of the challenges and solutions to the health of our planet and embark on more sustainable lifestyles. We need to find innovative solutions for environmental challenges through different approaches to sustainable consumption and production, inspiring nations, private sector players, and individuals. In conclusion, this Environment Assembly embodies the notion that challenges are best addressed and opportunities realized when the community of nations and citizens of the world join forces to promote economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental sustainability in a holistic manner. Friends, we have before us a heavy agenda with many important decisions to make. I urge all of us to engage positively and openly in the deliberations. Upon our shoulders lie immense responsibilities to move towards sustainable and resilient societies. I count on each and every one of you to ensure that our discussions over the next 5 days take place in a spirit of commitment, understanding, and common goal. You would not be here unless you, like me, were convinced that we need to take action now to protect our planet and people. I look forward to your cooperation and working with you at this United Nations Environmental Assembly to deliver on the expectations of the international community. Thank you. I now invite you to turn your attention to Agenda Item 2, Adoption of the Agenda and Organization of Work. First, I would like to turn your attention to the Provisional Agenda /1 4/Rev1. May I invite the Assembly to adopt the provisional agenda as contained in UNEP/EA 4/1/Rev1. I see no objections. I declare the agenda adopted. Before we proceed with our agenda, I wish to take this opportunity to acknowledge the months of hard work and cooperation by my colleagues in the Bureau of the Assembly and the Committee of Permanent Representatives in preparing for this session. I now wish to invite you to turn your attention to the organization of work as presented in the noted agenda, UNEP/EA 4/1/Add1. In accordance with Rule 60 of the Rules of Procedure of the Environment Assembly, I propose that the Assembly establishes a Committee of the Whole to assist the Assembly discharge the consideration of various items of its agenda. I see no objections. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 62 of the Rules of Procedure, I would like to invite the Assembly to consider electing the Chair and Rapporteur for the recently established Committee of the Whole. For the position of the Chair, the Bureau of the Assembly, with the support of the Bureau of the Committee of the Permanent Representatives, has nominated His Excellency Mr. Fernando Coimbra, Vice President of the Assembly and Permanent Representative of Brazil. Does the Assembly wish to elect by acclamation His Excellency Mr. Fernando Coimbra? I see no objections. His Excellency Mr. Coimbra is duly elected as the Chair of the Committee of the Whole. For the position of the Rapporteur, the Bureau nominates Mr. Putera Partaba of Indonesia. Does the Assembly wish to elect by acclamation Mr. Partama? Mr. Partama of Indonesia is duly elected as the Rapporteur of the Committee of the Whole. Thank you. I count on all of us to extend our full cooperation and goodwill to the Chair and the Rapporteur of the Committee of the Whole so that they can complete the significant work assigned to them. I wish to inform all delegates that the Committee will meet immediately after the Assembly considers Agenda Item 4, Report of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, in Conference Room 1. Now let me turn the attention of the Assembly to the allocation of items of its agenda. I propose that the Assembly allocates the consideration of Agenda Item 5, International Environmental Policy and Governance Issues, and Agenda Item 10, Provisional Agenda and Date of the 5th Session of the Environment Assembly, to the Committee of the Whole. The intention of this proposal is to allow the Committee to expeditiously prepare and finalize for the consideration by the Assembly of outstanding proposals. I see no objections. It is so decided. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, before we move to our next agenda items, I have the pleasure to invite Ms. Joyce Psuya, Acting Executive Director of UN Environment Programme, to deliver her remarks.
Thank you very much, Honorable President of the 4th UN Environment Assembly. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners. Let me first join Minister Kisler in expressing our deepest condolences to the victims and everyone affected by the tragedy of the Ethiopian Airlines crash. Honorable Minister Sim Kisler, Minister of Environment for Estonia and President of the Fourth UN Environment Assembly, my colleague Maimuna Mod Sharif, Acting Director General of UN Office in Nairobi and Executive Director of UN Habitat, the Honorable Minister of Environment of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Mr. Keriako Tobiko, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fourth United Nations Environment Assembly, or as we say in Kiswahili, karibuni kwenye bunge la nne la Umoja wa Mataifa. We are here today because we share a common sense of purpose. We can no longer delay taking action to protect people and planet. And the good news is that around the world, there are many examples of people, governments, enterprises, civil society that are not willing to wait to change our collective future. In Cameroon, for example, farmers use solar-powered dryers to dry cassava crop. This means they can store what they produce for longer and get a better price in the market. In the Philippines, a textile startup collects waste and transforms them into footwear and fashion accessories. Sri Lanka, affordable electric conversion kits aim to transform the iconic tuk-tuk. We are not starting from scratch. These innovations challenge the very basis on how we treat our planet. We can no longer grow now and clean up later. We have reached the planet's limits. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that we need to transform the way we live, how we produce, and the choices we make. And we have the power to do so. We have grown at the expense of nature, and it is time to turn a 360-degree U-turn. We have compelling science that lays out the urgency with which we must act. Last year, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a report saying that we must quickly and drastically reduce our climate warming emissions. A few weeks later, UN Environment's Emissions Gap Report concluded that in order to avoid a rise of more than 1.5 degrees centigrade in global temperatures, we need to step up climate action 5 times. So what could this transformation look like? 1, we need to move quickly to a low-carbon, green economy that by 2050 reduces fossil fuel by 80%. 2, it is time to be kinder to the environment in how we produce food, reducing the environmental impact of food production by 2/3. 3, we need to achieve a near-zero waste economy by 2050. Circularity must be the driving force for the future we want. This week, thousands of us are gathering here in Nairobi. Your commitment sends a strong signal to the world that we can achieve these ambitions. The presence of almost 100 ministers of the environment demonstrate the political will is not in short supply. Partnerships will be the glue that bind us together because a healthy planet depends on us all. Innovation will be the heartbeat of the transformation we want, and this cannot happen by itself. Policies and incentives to spur innovation and sustainable consumption and production must be backed up by efforts to build implementation capacity. And I'm so proud that we will have many civil society organizations, governments, social enterprises, and companies here at the Assembly who will be demonstrating the power of innovation in reducing poverty, powering business, addressing environmental challenges, and promote sustainable development. What is clear is that the appetite to change the way we live and consume does exist. UN Environment Program's #SolveDifferent campaign aims to inspire us to change the choices we make in our daily lives, and I'm excited to report that we have already recorded more than 2.7 million positive choices aiming to reduce the environmental costs of consumption and production models. More than 4,000 delegates from 170 countries will be at the Assembly this week. I challenge you all to join the global push and share your commitments using the #SolveDifferent hashtag. So, as we embark on a busy week ahead, I ask all of us to be open, to be optimistic, and be bold, and to focus on the end goal, which is to ensure that the collective well-being of all people on this planet. To close, in the words of the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, and I quote him, "In this fast-changing world, standing still means falling farther behind," end of quote. So let's move ahead. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
It is now my pleasure to invite Ms. Maimouna Mohd Sharif, Acting Director General of UN Office in Nairobi and Executive Director of UN Habitat, to deliver her opening statement.
Your Excellency, Mr. Sim Kisler, President of the United Nations Environment Assembly and Minister of Environment of Estonia, Mr. Kyriako Tobiko, Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Forestry of the Republic of Kenya, Ms. Joyce M. Suya, Acting Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, United Nations colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, Habariya Asubuhi. Before I share with you a few remarks, I wish to join the President of the UN Environment Assembly and the Acting Executive Director of UN Environment. I wish to express, on behalf of the United Nations Office at Nairobi and UN Habitat, my deepest condolences and prayers to the people of the great nation of Ethiopia and to the families of the passengers and crew members who lost their life in this tragedy. May victims of this tragic accident rest in eternal peace. I'm standing here wearing my hat as an acting Director General of UNON. On behalf of the United Nations family in Kenya, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to the United Nations office in Nairobi, otherwise popularly known as UNON, UNON, for this fourth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. The theme to this assembly, Innovative Solutions for Environmental Challenges and Sustainable Consumption and Production, is both timely and relevant. Changing today's unsustainable consumption and production patterns, including through innovation and creative approaches, is essential if we are to succeed in tackling the mounting environmental challenges facing our world. This is also in line with UN Habitat vision to provide a better quality of life for all in the urbanizing world, leaving no one and no place behind. Now I switch my head to the Executive Director of UN Habitat. As the world's highest level decision-making body on the environment, this assembly offers a historic opportunity to develop policies and foster a culture of innovation to advance sustainability and turn bold ideas into impactful action. I'm sure that this meeting will also provide key guidance to UN Environment, the leading global environmental authority. As it carries out its critical mandate, UN Environment can continue to count on the support of UNON. We are here with you. We have to look into the innovative solution to solve urban crises and challenges, as by the year 2050, 80% of the world population will be in the cities, and climate change is a reality. And we have to start now to have implementable tool with the highest positive impact to our environment. This UN Environment Assembly session is taking place at a time when the United Nations is implementing global management and administrative reforms. The reforms are aimed at enhancing accountability, eliminating potential overlaps, and ensuring the provision of cost-effective and efficient services. UNON, UN Environment's primary service provider, is playing its part to these global reform efforts. In addition to UN Environment, UNON is also providing administrative support to my own program, UN Habitat, as well as a range of common services to the many other United Nations offices based on this compound. As the third largest duty station after New York and Geneva, the only UN headquarters located in the developing world, these offices each contribute in some way to advancing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in Kenya, in the region, and around the world to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. That is why we are taking significant steps to renovate and improve this compound, which has become a crucial hub for the United Nations multifaceted work. Firstly, the General Assembly has approved funding for UNON to proceed with the project to replace the first office blocks ever constructed on the compound over 40 years ago. They originally served as a temporary office accommodation for the UN Environment Secretariat, and those building blocks A through J are reaching the end of their design life and need to be replaced. The project will build on a positive experience of the last major construction work undertaken on the compound, the new office facility, which now serves as the global headquarters of both UN Environment and UN Habitat. The project will ensure that new building is one of the most environmentally advanced in the region, with universally accessibility and with green building facilities. Secondly, the General Assembly has also requested Secretary General to provide detailed information regarding possible renovation work aimed at addressing the conditions and limited capacity of UNON's conference facilities, and to present that information to the General Assembly during the main part of its 74th session. UNON is actively working on fulfilling that request. Thirdly, we are becoming a more environmentally friendly compound every year. In 2018, for example, UNON launched a waste collection and sorting station, segregation at source, with a view to reducing landfill waste generated from this compound and increasing recycling. Last year, UNON also became the first UN headquarters in the world to eliminate the sale of single-use plastic at our cafeteria. And please, try our bicycle to get around UNON compound. In conclusion, I would like to express my appreciation to the government of Kenya for its helping in organizing this UN Environment Assembly session, as well as for its enduring partnership and strong partners and strong support to the United Nations family and activities in Kenya. I wish you all the best in your deliberation this week, and I hope you will enjoy your stay on the Yunnan campus. Thank you for your kind attention, and asante sana. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharif, and through you, I wish to thank as well the UN office in Nairobi and UN Habitat, who have supported the Assembly, including the provisions of security, conference services, facilities and logistics that have made this Assembly possible. Thank you. Next, I am honored to invite His Excellency Mr. Kerioko Tobiko, Minister of Environment of the Republic of Kenya. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Sim Kisla, the Minister of Environment of the Republic of Estonia and the President of this Assembly, my sister Joyce Nzuya, the Acting Executive Director, UNEP, Ms. Maimuna Sharif, Acting DG UNON Office in Nairobi and Executive Director, UN Habitat, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Let me join my colleagues on the high table in expressing our deepest sympathies and condolences to all those who lost their loved ones in the plane crash that all of us know about. Let me also, on my own behalf, on behalf of my Ministry of Environment, and also on behalf of the government of Kenya, welcome you all to this beautiful country of ours. Karibuni, Kenya. I wish also to convey our congratulations to Ms. Inga Anderson on her recent appointment as the executive of UNEP, and convey the goodwill and support of the government of Kenya. We look very much forward to working very closely together. Distinguished delegates, the theme of this assembly is innovative solution for environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. It cannot have been any more opportune. Various pre-UNEA 4 events have been focused on innovation. Innovation is urgently needed for the world to move towards sustainable production and consumption in line with SDG number 12. Society needs sustainable life cycles for products together with enhanced productivity and efficiency. The circular economy combines efficiency, productivity through models such as industrial symbiosis, elimination of waste, and pollution which remain top priorities. To adapt innovation to the needs of different societies, we should actively apply indigenous, local, and traditional knowledge and promote endogenous technologies. Global partnership in research, development, and investment are key to catalyze these progress. Distinguished delegates, climate change presents a significant existential challenge to humanity today. We as a country submitted our NDC in 2015 and ratified the Paris Agreement. We have enacted the Climate Change Act and a climate change policy designed to support innovation necessary for adaptation and mitigation. Our climate change law established a climate change fund which is being operationalized. Innovatively, our Climate Change Act contains mandatory requirements for strategic environmental assessment and environmental impact assessment to integrate climate risk and vulnerability assessment. Cleaner production is thus a priority, and we have a national center that promotes resource efficiency and cleaner production tools in manufacturing and service enterprises. Kenya is undertaking innovative action to address challenges in solid waste management, evident in major cities such as Nairobi and Mombasa. We are pursuing reuse and recycling of appropriate solid waste while installing sanitary landfills. We are also pursuing innovative investments such as capturing landfill methane gas for electric power generation, which also contributes reduction of greenhouse gases emission. As the world now knows, Kenya in 2017 legally prohibited the manufacture, import, sale, and use of plastic carrier bags, single-use carrier bags, owing to their contribution to pollution. Our citizens have embraced this decision and led the charge in carrier bags. And sustainable production and consumption the world over. This includes plastic containers such as cosmetics, toothpaste, plastic cutlery, and drinking straws. More action is being taken in Kenya with the aim of progressively reducing this category of single-use plastics. These actions include establishment of a take-back scheme for PET bottles and the imposition of extended producer liability obligations. In addition, in addressing single-use plastics, Kenya and the world urgently need eco-innovative alternatives to plastics which have a sustainable life cycle. The alternatives must be affordable. This morning, during the Innovative Expo, we witnessed such innovative solutions. The flip-floppy, and I believe all of you have seen it displayed in the compound. The door displayed in the UN complex represent a much-needed approach to eco-innovation. This repurposing approach, for instance, extends the life cycle of conventional plastics, even as we look for sustainable plastic feedstock going forward. Making the flip-floppy involve the use of 10 tons of plastic waste and 30,000 repurposed flip-flops, which could have become waste. Efforts such as these are instrumental in raising public awareness and consciousness on the dangers posed by plastics, sustainable consumption, and the need for better waste disposal system. the public can then lead the global charge towards the needed change. Equally, action is required to halt and reverse marine plastic pollution that is choking marine life. Public procurement often comprises a significant proportion of economic activities in nations across the world. It is therefore a unique pathway through which sustainable production and consumption can be entrenched. This value of public procurement is recognized in SDG number 12. We are continuously working to overcome challenges and enforce stringent rules on toxic chemicals, such as those on industrial effluent discharge to the environment, control of air pollution, and disposal of hazardous waste. Sustainable innovations in terms of technology and governance systems are required here. We need innovation to protect biodiversity, stop land degradation, and protect sensitive rangeland ecosystems that support pastoralists. Distinguished delegates, Kenya's economic development plan is now focused on 4 priorities, the big 4, namely food and nutrition security, affordable housing, manufacturing, and universal healthcare for economic growth. These are intended to enhance productivity and trigger entrepreneurship and investment. They will require a dedicated focus on sustainable production and consumption. On our national education system has been revised to integrate climate change, environmental and water education up to the end of secondary school. This will serve our younger generations through the youth and school-age children through the passing on new values for innovation and productivity that respects the environment. Distinguished delegates, the human rights to a healthy environment is central to the theme of UNEA 4. It combines the right to life and the duty to protect the environment. It also includes a fundamental responsibility to ensure the economic activities protect the environment and human life. Kenya fully accepts the importance of this right, which is enshrined in our constitution. I think Kenya has the unique constitution that recognizes a healthy and secure environment as a fundamental human right. Our efforts to fulfill the obligation are ongoing, but still facing challenges. I urge this assembly to consider how a human right to a healthy environment can ensure innovative solutions truly result in sustainable production and consumption. Let us ensure that innovative solutions represent the business unusual model, including technology, business processes, education and training systems, as well as regulatory environment. It is my humble hope that key decisions from this assembly will reflect this approach. I wish all delegates fruitful deliberations and an enjoyable time in our capital city. Please enjoy Kenya and build lasting networks and relationships towards our collective goal of a sustainable world. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Mr. Topiko. Your presence here demonstrates the high political importance that Kenya, as our host, has for the Environment Assembly. And I trust that under your leadership, Kenya continues to deliver on its environmental goals, and I wish to express our gratitude for the role you play as the host of the Assembly. Thank you. We will now hear statements from the regional and political groups. And ladies and gentlemen, given the time constraint, I urge the representatives speaking on behalf of these groups to please limit your statements to 5 minutes. The first on my list is the European Union and its member states. His Excellency Mr. Ion Cimpeanu, State Secretary, Ministry of Environment of Romania. You have the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the European Union and its member states. Also, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Serbia, and Ukraine aligned themselves with this statement. We are saddened by the tragic circumstances that affect this meeting. We express our deepest condolences for those who lost their lives in yesterday's tragic event, and our thoughts and prayers are with their families, friends, and colleagues. Many of them were on their way to this meeting wanting to make a difference and adding their voices to our call for urgent action in the face of today's pressing environmental challenges. Their absence increases our responsibility to make this meeting a success. This session of the United Nations Environment Assembly represents our opportunity to boost the political will and efforts in order to solve the sustainability crisis and move towards establishing the reference values for a sustainable use of our natural resources. We would like to congratulate the UNEA President and the Acting Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme for their contributions on preparing this fourth session on the Assembly and assure them that the EU will work constructively to enable this Assembly to live up to its mandate, providing global environment leadership to work on innovative solutions to address environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. We appreciate the draft document and we support the UNEA President in his efforts to preserve a level of ambition that meets the urgent needs to address specific areas. In that light, we would like to continue consultations with Member States to work towards an ambitious outcome that recognizes, among others, the urgency underlined by the best available science to enhance ambition to address climate change and effectively address plastics. We welcome the very constructive consultations of the fourth open-ended Committee of Permanent Representatives. Looking at the results of the OECPR, we will work constructively during this week's negotiations at UNEA 4 to reach agreement on many, if not all, of resolutions in our efforts to build a better future. To get there, we still face a number of challenges. The climate and biodiversity crisis we face make it essential and urgent to step up to global action against all forms of deforestation and to give UNEP the mandate to contribute with its expertise. We would also like to emphasize the interlinkages between sustainable consumption and production, resource management, and the elements of our climate, air, biodiversity, water and land use. The European Union and its member states recognize the imperative to place sustainable resource management in the center of our relevant policies. We also wish to voice our strong support for the resolution on women and the environment, which promotes gender equality and the human rights and empowerment of all women and girls in environmental governance. We wish to facilitate environment ministers' discussions on natural resource use towards a safe operating space. We invite all ministers and head of delegations to a breakfast on Friday, 15th March 2019 at 8 a.m. to discuss about how can use our natural resources in a safe operating space for humanity and how we can boost the political will, establishing targets and reference values for a sustainable level of use of natural resources. We believe that the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, and other multilateral environmental agreement objectives cannot be achieved without the sustainable management and use of natural resources through greater resource efficiency and by moving towards a circular economy. Dear colleagues, the draft ministerial outcome document has been developed based in the spirit of consensus after in-depth consultations and negotiations to accommodate all concerns while maintaining the actions-oriented nature of the document. We hope that the further work during this week may allow us to make further improvements to an outcome document that provides valuable guidance for all member states and stakeholders on innovative solutions for environmental challenges and sustainable consumption and production. We still believe that UNEA should recognize the urgency underlined by the best available science to enhance ambitions to address climate change. The EU wants this meeting to be a success. As environment ministers, we have to use this opportunity and show leadership to communicate a clear and ambitious political message from this global meeting to the high-level political forum and to the wider global public. This message is clear. We must shift our global economic system towards greater sustainability and circularity and catalyze the global and concrete action to achieve this shift as a matter of urgency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now open the floor to the representative of African states, His Excellency Professor Fekadu Beyene Aleka, Minister of Environment of Ethiopia.
Mr. President, Excellencies, Acting Executive Delegate Director, Chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the African Group. First, allow me to pay tribute to Your Excellency, Mr. Sim Valmar Kessler, Minister of Environment of Estonia and the President of the United Nations Environment Assembly, for your outstanding leadership. Allow me also to appreciate the Bureau of the Committee of Permanent Representatives under the leadership of Her Excellency, Ms. Francisca Ashtine Odunton, High Commissioner, Permanent Representative of Ghana, for the remarkable work undertaken during the intersessional period in the preparation of the fourth open-ended meeting of the Committee of Permanent Representatives and the fourth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. Your leadership and engagement has been instrumental, and the African Group wishes you to assure you of its readiness to positively engage and support you and your Bureau during the coming days. Mr. President, in preparation for this assembly, some of our colleagues from the Africa Group were involved in a serious road accident and are currently recovering in hospital. We all wish them a quick recovery. I was in Addis Ababa Bole International Airport on my way to Nairobi when I heard about the tragic accident that killed all 157 people aboard an Ethiopian Airlines flight ET-302 that crashed soon after takeoff Sunday morning from Addis Ababa. The plane en route to Addis Ababa to Nairobi was also carrying participants to our assembly. On behalf of the African Group and the government of Ethiopia, I would like to express our deepest condolences to the victims and their relatives. May their soul rest in eternal peace. Mr. President, the Africa Group wishes to acknowledge the numerous environmental challenges that impact society, economy, and environment, including food insecurity, environmental displacement, migration, poverty, energy insecurity, loss of biodiversity, and pollution, among others. UNEA therefore convenes at a time of great relevance, especially in terms of the ongoing international efforts towards addressing the mounting environmental challenges and achieving sustainable development. The importance of the environment and this assembly is aptly demonstrated by the large number of resolutions that will be tabled for consideration during this week. Mr. President, on the theme of the fourth assembly, innovative solutions for environmental challenge and sustainable consumption and production, the group wish to recall with appreciation the role played by African member states with the support of other member states and regional groups to formulate, conceptualize, and champion the highlight of this theme, innovative solutions, during the 16th ordinary session of the Africa Ministerial Conference on the Environment, AMISEN, held in Gabon in June 2017, and further promoted during the 7th special session of AMISEN held in September 2018 in Nairobi. Innovative solutions are much sought after business unusual approaches and creative ways aimed at addressing environmental challenges, promoting sustainable production and consumption, and accelerating sustainable development. The Africa Group believes that now is the time for national governments, the environmental community, the international community, private sector, and civil society to implement innovative approaches. It is a clear responsibility for us all to make sure that this paradigm shift to innovative solutions for growth and development will continue far into the future. The African Ministers of Environment, through AMISEN, will continue to provide political leadership toward this implementation of innovative solutions that are development-oriented and that lead to poverty eradication and the creation of jobs and wealth. We are convinced that there is the capacity, the know-how, and the wisdom to ensure that the environment can step up to serve people, economies, and the planet alike. Mr. President, we should bear in mind that poverty eradication remains a priority not only for Africa, but also for the whole world. Therefore, innovative solutions that do not support poverty eradication cannot power the much-needed transformation required by the people of Africa for the sustainable development of the continent. It is worth noting that without eradicating poverty, we will not be able to achieve the sustainable development goals. The Africa Group wishes to underscore that to achieve the objectives of the resolution to be adopted at this Assembly, effective means of implementation will be required, without which we will still need doing things business as usual. Further, we should like to call for a balanced implementation of and reporting on all the resolutions adopted by the Assembly. It is in this regard that we welcome efforts that will lead to the adoption of the resolution on implementation and the follow-up of Assembly resolutions and decisions that has been sponsored by the African Group. Mr. President, the Africa Group reaffirms the importance of concluding the work of UNIAFOR with an outcome document in the form of a concise political declaration negotiated by member states and adopted by consensus based on the current theme. We believe that a negotiated outcome document provides the ministers with an opportunity to express themselves authoritatively in influencing the global environmental agenda. I wish once again, on behalf of the African Group, to express our unequivocal support toward this, cooperating with member states, regional groups, and your team in ensuring a successful UNIAFOR. We also take this opportunity to welcome Ms. Ingrid Anderson, the Executive Director Designate of UNEP, and the incoming bureaus of the Assembly and the Committee of Permanent Representatives, and assure them of the Group's full support. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Minister. And now, the Asia-Pacific states. His Excellency, Mr. Saleh bin Sulaiman Al Harthi, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Sultanate of Oman, you now have the floor. Thank you.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معالي سيم كسلر وزير البيئة بجمهورية استونيا رئيس الجمعية البيئية الرابعة، معالي وزير البيئة في جمهورية كينيا، سعادة جويس مسويا المديرة التنفيذية بالوكالة ليونيب، سعادة ميمونة محمد المديرة العامة للأمم المتحدة بالوكالة نيروبي، أيها الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أولاً أود أن أتقدم باسم المجموعة وبالنيابة عن نفسي بأحر التعازي لأهالي ضحايا الطائرة المنكوبة. أيها السيدات والسادة، يشرفني أن أقدم هذا البيان بالإنابة عن مجموعة آسيا الباسيفيك الدول الأعضاء في مجموعة آسيا الباسيفيك ملتزمة بتطبيق أجندة التنمية المستدامة الإقليمية والعالمية بما فيها الأجندة 2030 أهداف التنمية المستدامة، اتفاقية باريس، أجندة عمل أديس أبابا، وإطار عمل سنداي لتقليل خطر الكوارث، وجمعية الأمم المتحدة للبيئة. عقد المنتدى الثالث لوزراء وسلطات البيئة لآسيا الباسيفيك بنجاح من 23 ل 25 يناير 2019 في سنغافورة، وتم تنظيم المنتدى بالاشتراك من قبل وزارة البيئة وموارد المياه لسنغافورة والأمم المتحدة للبيئة. ناقش المنتدى الوزاري القضايا المتعلقة بالدورة الرابعة للجمعية البيئية بما فيها الإنتاج والاستهلاك المستدام، مسودة القرارات ومسودة الإعلان الوزاري. وقد ساهمت نتائج المنتدى في العملية التحضيرية للدورة الرابعة للأمم المتحدة للبيئة. عقدت الجلسة الغير عادية لمجلس الوزراء العرب المسؤولين عن البيئة من 9 إلى 10 يناير 2019 في البحر الميت بالمملكة الأردنية الهاشمية، والتي قامت بالتحضير للدورة الرابعة لجمعية الأمم المتحدة للبيئة، وناقشت من بين قضايا أخرى الميثاق العالمي للبيئة ومداخلات القمة العربية للتنمية الاقتصادية والاجتماعية. عقدت على مستوى رؤساء الدول في بيروت بجمهورية لبنان في يناير 2019. وضعت الجلسة غير العادية مذكرة مفاهيم استراتيجية إدارة النفايات الصلبة للمنطقة العربية، والتي أجيزت من قبل القمة العربية للتنمية الاقتصادية والاجتماعية. سيد الرئيس، آسيا والباسيفيك بما فيها غرب آسيا هي إحدى أسرع المناطق الاقتصادية نمواً، وهي موطن لتنوع حيوي بحري كبير، وإن كانت تتميز بثغرات واسعة في التنمية. وقد برزت آسيا الباسيفيك التي هي موطن لأكثر من 60% من سكان العالم كمستهلك كبير للموارد العالمية، وهي الآن مسؤولة عن 63% من استخدام العالم للمواد، متفوقة على بقية دول العالم. الزيادة في استخدام المنطقة للموارد كانت مدفوعة بقدر كبير بالتنمية الحضرية وظهور مستهلكين جدد ومراكز عالمية للتصنيع في المنطقة. وهذه التطورات في الوقت الذي مكنت من النمو الاقتصادي السريع ومستويات معيشة أعلى، فقد أثرت سلبا على فاعلية موارد المنطقة في آسيا الباسيفيك. الإنتاج والاستهلاك المستدام ضروري لمعالجة أولويات أخرى كاستنزاف الموارد الطبيعية، الفقر، تغير المناخ